Hi, everybody. Hope you can hear us and just let us know if there's any problem. A big welcome to Nicolas Baldeyrou. Did I say it
Hello,
right?
guys.
Did I say
How
it
are you?
right? Did I pronounce your name right?
Yeah, Nicolas Baldeyrou. Yeah, it's
Oh,
not,
very.
not bad, honestly.
Yeah, but yeah, it sounds so much better when you say it. But anyway, you're just showing up. Anyway, a very warm welcome. This is the third in my series of talk. We're very happy to have you with us. I have my techie star here, Lorenzo Yasco, of
Hi,
course.
Lorenzo.
So great. So I always start with how I know the person. So, in fact, you might not even know this, Nicola. The first time I heard you play or saw you or anything was in 2001 in New Orleans. Okay, there was a clarinet convention that our friend Steve Cohen,
Mhm.
who's now a professor at Northwestern University, and his crew in the Louisiana Philharmonic put together one of these big international clarinet association clarinet fests. And actually, I won that competition in 1985. Okay, and judged it in 2009. But also 1995. So I just popped in, and there was Nicolas playing, who I believe you got the first prize. And I thought, oh, this guy's pretty good. The standards has really improved in the old neighborhood. So that's the first time I made his acquaintance. But then I thought we had a very special time in 2005, 15 years now, Nicola. It was Buffet Crampons' 180th anniversary, and we did a double recital together.
Mhm.
To celebrate in Hong Kong. But if that wasn't enough, we all went out to eat, and it was an Italian restaurant. I mean, just trying to make Lorenzo happy. No good French food was around. And very rudely, Nicola got a phone call and interrupted us. And he came back and he shouted. I mean, he's actually much more laid back kind of guy. He shouted in glee, and I said, "What's going on?" He said, "My friend just called me for my birthday, and he's given me tickets to go to the French Open in Paris, the tennis and Roland Garros." I said, "Really? What day?" And he told me the day, and it turns out I was going to be there in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks later, fast forward, we met and had a coffee by the Four Musketeers statue in
Sweet.
Paris. So it was really terrific. So we share two passions. Before we go on, I have to pay a very special tribute to our friend John Brussier from the Chicago Symphony. He set his alarm clock. It's 8 in the morning, and it happens to be, ready for this, his birthday. And he said,
Absolutely. Happy birthday, John.
"Happy birthday, John. We love you." There's Lorenzo. We all love John because he's a honorary member of our section. He's come and played with us. He's come to our concerts. He's just a good friend in the Hong Kong Philharmonic section, and we're so honored that he's here to spend his birthday, chatting about the clarinet. So great. Now, so now we're going to get into just the basic boring things. Okay, we want to hear about your background. How did you start? Who were your teachers? Let's start with that. Where did
Wow,
you?
I started when I was like 7.5 because I was too small to start before. So at that time, you had to wait and just learn music theory for I don't know, for 2 years before doing the first note. That was a very, very long time to wait. And I started in my very small town close to Paris with a fantastic teacher. He's not very well known now. He's like 80 something years old and retired, of course. But it was fantastic. He was giving so much passion and joy when playing. I mean, I was playing duets all the time with him. So that was very, very good memory. So I started in this small town close to Paris. And then I met my Michel Arignon, maybe you know, who was a teacher in the Paris Conservatoire. He was in a jury in some, I don't know, some exam. And he just told me, oh, you should maybe think about go in a bigger conservatory for get some, I don't know, some very good students around you and just to see your level. And So I went to Véronique Fay in a regional conservatory in my area, and for 4 years. And then I came in the Paris Conservatory with Michel Arignon when I was like 14. So it was quite young and maybe way too young, but okay. That's
so I wanted to just ask you about, I mean, that's always fascinating. The system, I mean, people can join the Paris Conservatoire at any age. They come in at 14. It isn't like in the States where you're usually 18 and finish your secondary school or
yeah, at that time it was still possible. Now it's still possible, but just more complicated because you have to get diplomas, so your school diplomas, and but that was a long time ago, you know. So it was like 25 years ago. So it was quite different.
Were some of the other students, I'm curious about, would we know them? I mean, I know a lot of well-known people in your generation that have moved on. Who were some of the other clarinet students when you were there?
Oh, when I came in, it was like 7 people coming in the class. There were Spiros Mourigis, maybe you know, he's the principal clarinet in Athens, and teaching in the conservatory there. He was so strong. There was, of course, many good friends. Alexandre Chabot, which now is a co-principal in the Paris Opera. There was so many people. Nicolas Fargex, who won many international competition prizes like Geneva Third Prize and many others. There were many. Also Kenji Matsumoto, now is a principal in the NHK.
Right, yeah.
He was a terrific player. He was Naoko Yoshimura. Now she's principal in the Rouen Opera in France. C'est Joël Canac, who is now in the Police Army Band. They were it was very interesting because all these people got very good positions everywhere. So yeah.
Wow, very impressive. I know that just in France, you do have the army band, and it's actually quite a big deal. You know, in a lot of other places, they think, oh, I want to be in an orchestra or a professor thing, but actually you have had some very prominent players go through the band system, and isn't that right?
I can say that maybe 50% of the professionals today came from the wind band, like the Garde Républicaine, which is honestly one of the best wind bands in the world, in my opinion.
Sure.
And also in many armies, you have, of course, bands like in any country, but the police is very good also. The air army, of course, is very good. And I was like 3 years in the Garde Républicaine when I was young. From 20,
were?
Yeah, absolutely. Like many of the professionals today in France came from there.
Wow, man, great!
Yeah.
Very interesting, very interesting. So, how long were you in the Paris Conservatoire? How long did you study there?
I stayed like 7 years. That was quite long because I was so young. So the beginning was quite hard because I was still at school at the same time. So I had to do both. It was quite complicated. So I guess I was not practicing in anything, not in clarinet, not at school. I was just like trying to do everything, but it was quite complicated. So I also did many things. I was, of course, studying clarinet, but also piano and composing. Like I don't know in English, but like how to write contrepoint.
Music theory.
Yeah, music theory, fuga things, and of course chamber music and bass clarinets with Jean-Noël Croc, who was principal bass clarinet in the Paris Opera. So I did many things, and then like a postgraduate studies after my clarinet diploma. So 7 years. It was quite a long time.
Yeah, no, great. And so when you graduated, what did you end up? Where was your first stop when you graduated?
At that time, I was mostly doing international competitions, so trying many competitions. And right after my diploma, I was a prize winner in the Munich competition, in the IRD competition. So I got a lot of concerts and a lot of opportunities after this. So I didn't get in an orchestra immediately. I mean, I was of course extremely interested, but I wanted to do everything, so I did like not solist career, but this kind of things at first, and then I thought about trying some orchestra auditions. And my first orchestra audition, successful one, I guess, was in the Mahler Chamber Orchestra, like in 2000s. It was formerly created by Abado, and then it was Daniel Harding. So that was my first job before entering the Garde Républicaine Wind Band in Paris.
What position did you play in the Mahler Chambers?
Principal. But I just stayed for 1 year.
I just want to ask you, do you remember some of the jurors when you did the ARD, when you got the prize in the ARD?
Yes, it was Philippe Cooper, which our very famous French soloist and teacher, who is also in the opera. So there was.
Was Frank Cohen a judge by any chance?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's because I actually had the. I've known him for a while, and I had a very nice conversation with him a month ago. And we were just talking about clarinet play. This is before I even thought of a project like this. And he specifically brought your name up in an extremely complimentary way. So that's why I just made the connection. I remember him saying that he was a judge in Munich, and I wasn't sure if that was the thing, but he really had really, really nice things to say about your playing. And of course, he's a legend in the States.
Absolutely, he was one of the only ones to get the first prize. I mean, it was so not so common at the time.
Wait a minute, was John a judge? I'm looking at some comments, or just Sabina Meyer was a judge, right?
No, not at all.
No, okay.
It was in 98, so it was quite long ago. 1998. There were also the Karl-Heinz Steffens, which was a principal in the Bavarian radio at that time, and then in the Berliner Philharmoniker, and then now he's just a conductor. But he was also there. There was quite a lot of people in this jury.
Great. Well, I wanted to bring up the Frank Cohen connection, and I just want to say we have a lot of people. There's so many people, that are interested in hearing about your story. But just very quickly, I see Chi Mo from the London Symphony, who's also played with us, and a former colleague of Lorenzo's. Hi, Chi. And we see our colleague Wei Lau, who plays in our section, and Pascual Martinez.
Yes.
New York Phil. So what's that? And many others, Lorenzo says. So I'm sorry if I can't get to you all, but we just we're trying to loosen up Nicolas because he was very worried. He's speaking in his second language. And I told him there's nothing to worry about because everyone thinks it's so sexy. So, don't worry about that. Okay, you're doing great.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's great. So you did some of the competitions, obviously. Munich, also like in New Orleans in 2000.
Yeah, New Orleans, like Carl Nielsen competition, Sevilla competition, many competitions. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then, so you joined the band after the Mahler, and then where did you go after the band?
I came then. I did 2 auditions at the same time. I mean, the Paris Opera and the French National Orchestra. And then I had to decide which orchestra I had to go. That was a weird situation. But so I won both auditions, but I came in the National Orchestra as a co-principal. And I stayed there for 3 years and a half, I guess. And then I completely stopped orchestra for teaching in Lyon. In Lyon, the Lyon Conservatory, where I still teach at the moment. So I just was just a teacher and doing concerts for 3 or 4 years. And then in 2010, I did the audition for the radio orchestra, Philharmonic Radio Orchestra, which where I still play at the moment. So yeah, I did quite a lot of orchestras in Paris.
Sure. But I'm actually trying to date what you've been doing the last 15 years. So when we played together, it's so funny. I thought you were in the Paris Opera. I must have just gotten confused. But you were in the National Orchestra at that time when we met.
Absolutely, in 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were and you're still in the same teaching job. For some reason, I thought you might have changed. So you had the same teaching job back then in 2000.
Not yet. I came to the Conservatoire in 2007. Exactly.
Okay, just after we met. Okay.
Yes. Great.
And then you put orchestra aside for a little bit, and now you're back again. Okay.
Absolutely.
Who were some of your colleagues when you joined the National Orchestra? Who was in the club?
The principal was Patrick Messina at that time. Bass clarinet was Jean-Marc Volta. Maybe I think he went in Hong Kong.
We just Lorenzo. We just played some little chamber clarinet things.
I saw some pictures and terrific bass player. And he's also working with me in the Buffet Factory. He's specialized, of course, in the bass instruments, but we work together still now.
And Maria Wong helped organize that, who happens to be Florent Ayo's wife. So
absolutely.
She's a low also. So there you go.
I saw a message. So hello, Maria, if you see us.
So that's great. I that's great. And now who's in your section?
Now I play in the radio, so it's completely different. Right. So my the other principal is Jérôme Voisin.
Mm-hmm.
Co-principal is Jean-Pascal Post. And then we have Manuel Metzger as E-flat clarinet, and we have an open bass clarinet position now. So there will be hopefully an audition in the next season. I hope as soon as possible. With the current situation, we don't know, but it should happen. I hope very soon.
Yeah, we're going through all that also. So
absolutely.
So presumably the orchestra's off right now.
Yes.
Your orchestra, yeah.
I guess we'll start again in September. I hope, but
right.
I mean, the string section is already working now. So doing like string programs and with not so many people on stage, but it's already practicing.
Is there an audience actually?
No, it's only for broadcasting, for radio and TV. Yeah, we are lucky to be a radio orchestra, so we have absolutely everything to broadcast and. But it's a complicated time for everybody. Did you start again already? You do in Hong Kong?
Well, we just started. We're doing basically recordings. We just did Siegfried Idyll, and we're probably doing a Grand Partita. But to be honest with you, we're going week to week. I mean, the government issues things, and then you're supposed to social distance in this hall, but it doesn't matter in that hall and everything. So we're just taking one step at a time, but hoping that we have some, are we going to France next year and tour?
Maybe.
We're going to Europe. We're going to Europe in a year, hopefully, but I'm not sure about France. But anyway, hopefully we'll see. Well, actually, let's talk about something very important. Is Roland Garros going to take place?
Absolutely. Yes. We don't know what's going to happen. It's going to happen in September. I don't know.
They've moved the date, and all the French Tennis Association relies on the French Open. Apparently, all the clubs and everything to give them money. So fingers crossed. And Yannick turned 60. So the last French guy that.
So maybe they have time to build a second roof now, so we can.
Yes. And by the way, Frank Cohen's here. Speaking of Frank, so I somewhere right. Lorenzo told me. So hi, Frank. We love you.
Frank.
So great. That's fantastic. So, and who's your music director?
It's Mikko Frank from Finland. I don't know if you had him already in Hong Kong, but he's.
No, but Lorenzo, have you heard?
He's also in Santa Cecilia.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think he just finished his contract in Rome now. So, but I'm not sure about that. But he's like very young. He's, I think he's like 30, 38 or 39. He's crazy talented. So still a very young baby conductor, but we love him very much. It's,
Great.
Very good help also in that time because he has very nice influence on on the direction, everything. So very happy about that.
So how many students do you have at the conservatory?
We normally have 12. It's the normal full class in a National Superior Conservatoire. But now I have 10 because 2 of them got positions in very good orchestras, and so they had to leave because they didn't have time to still get every lesson, theory lesson.
Well, I hope you're going to give them a bad grade. How can they go and get a job? I mean, how dare they leave you?
So I'm very happy for them. But so we just had 10. This which so maybe you saw in the videos there was only 10 students, but still very talented.
You're the only teacher. You teach all of them.
Yes, I teach all of them, and have an assistant professor, which is Franck Hamet, which is a very, very good friend. He's also in the Garde Républicaine Wind Band, and also teaching in the regional Paris Conservatoire. So,
sorry, is it the one on the videos as well?
Absolutely, yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, great. Okay, so and now I want to don't worry. Everyone wants to hear about your videos and arrangements, but I thought we'd start with all the boring stuff first, and then we can get to that. But what I'd also like to know is, what is your official position with Buffet Crampon or Van Doren? I mean, what do you do? I always hear little things. People say, "Oh, we helped design it." What does that mean? We see, oh, this clarinet was hand selected by Nicolas Baldeyrou. What does that mean? I mean, what do you actually do officially? Let's say for Buffet Crampon to start with.
Officially, I'm head tester at the factory. So I don't know if you can say that in English, but in French we say essayeur. So we are 3 for the normal clarinets. I mean, we have Michel Arignon, me, and Paul Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
So we take care of the research and development department of Buffet Crampon. And so all the new clarinets for the last 15 years are designed by us 3. So, and then we have Jean-Marc Volta for the bass clarinets.
Oh, okay. But now, what does it mean to design a clarinet? I mean, you try something and you say, oh, I wish this was a darker sound, or so. Do you actually say, well, the size of the bore should be more like this? I mean, what does it mean to participate in designing a clarinet?
It's exactly like this. I mean, we all meet a lot of people in the world and say, oh, people now prefer this kind of sound, this kind of feeling. We want to get something more focused, more darker, or anything. And then we say, okay, what do we have in the brand which could fit with that? And okay, so should it be an evolution of an actual model or a new model? And then we are all the time talking with Eric Barret, with the boss of the technical side of Buffet, and then we try to think about solutions to get exactly what we want for intonation, sound, homogeneity, what you want. And then, of course, we make some prototypes. A lot of them are not, will never be a normal clarinet, but just like trying many things, new systems, new key systems, new intonation, new bores. And then we decide with the commercial side if it's useful or not to commercialize it. That's all. Honestly, the best part of the job by Buffet. What I do is just like searching and trying some new things, and so trying to make it better. And of course, another side of the job is making selections for shops and customers. So anybody in the world can ask Paul Meyer, Michel Arignon, or me, just can you do the selection for me, and we do it. So normally we are here like one day a week. So normally it's half day, like a whole morning or whole afternoon every week, except if we have a tour or something, of course. But so that's quite a lot. Yeah, that's quite a lot. But it's a very, very interesting job. By Van Doren is completely different. I'm just like a Van Doren artist, but like all people playing Van Doren. So I have absolutely no part in development or anything. I was just lucky enough to get a very new BD4 when it was just like coming out a few months ago. But that's all. So I have a very good relationship with them. Of course, they are supporting me in many, many ways. I'm very lucky, but it's just like an ambassador. Very
Right.
nice.
Maybe you can help me settle something, because the last time, believe it or not, I went to the buffet factory, we were on tour in 2003.
Mhm.
Okay, and I got it tour. I selected a bunch of instruments for students and so forth. And I remember specifically, and I always bring this up in master classes, okay, I was introduced to someone whose only job was to try barrels on the instrument in different positions and stamp them in the best position so that when you line it up, that's the best. So many times in master classes, I've mentioned this, and people might experiment by moving the barrel around. And lo and behold, just a couple of weeks ago, I saw my name appear on some clarinet Facebook page where people were saying, no, they don't do that in buffet anymore. And someone said, well, I went to a master class of Andy Simon, and he said they do. Now, that was 17 years ago. Do you know, do they still do that? Do they have a guy?
Yeah, of course, they still do. I still do it
Great.
personally. I mean, when you get clarinet direct from production, okay, then the barrel and the bell are just like blank, and you have to turn them just to get the best position. So the guy you met is not only doing this, but it's part of the job of being a tester to do this, and it makes a huge difference. I mean, anybody can try on his clarinet, just like make a quarter circle like this, and then you will see an enormous difference. So it's very, very important to find the best position for that. Definitely.
I agree, and the most important thing is anyone on that clarinet website knows I wasn't lying. Nicolas Baldeyrou.
No, that's absolutely true. I do it every week, so I promise.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I obviously, I mean, I have to say, I mean, on my last talk, I chatted with Charlie Neidig, and he was saying how, and it really hit me during this period. He said, those of us that are a little bit established really should be as proactive as we can, especially during this time, and to keep music alive for the next generation, so on and so forth. And I mean, you're an amazing example of this. I mean, congratulations, really.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So so I haven't followed everything that you've done, because you're kicking out so many things. But before you got into all the videos and stuff, you were doing some super arrangements that started to become standard repertoire. Like I remember Carmen, for example. I mean, you have a terrific Carmen, very, very difficult. So I'm glad that you did that instead of me. But so tell us a little about. First of all, I'm just interested. I mean, how long does it take to make an arrangement? Let's say Carmen, from soup to nuts. You decided one day, maybe I'll make this arrangement. How long did it take you to make that?
It depends of the arrangement. I mean, Carmen was quite fast because it was coming directly from the violin part of the Sarasate Fantasy on Carmen. So it was just like an adaptation of the violin part, and I didn't touch the piano part, for example, so almost not, just a few things. But honestly, that was quite fast. It was a very efficient arrangement. But
quite fast too, I might add.
No, I was like, I don't know, for 3 days. I mean, I needed to do
Really?
that. Yeah. But
wow.
That was not complicated. I mean, the previous arrangements I did for my class are way, way more complicated. When you have a big orchestra overture to arrange for 16 people, and just like it's a lot of work. It's
and you do it on the computer. Lorenzo wants to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Everything. Yeah, it has to be clear. I mean, when you are recording, there's so many parameters. Your score has to be absolutely perfect and clear. You have to know exactly what to do at what time. So no handwriting. No. I try to do it as clean as possible always.
And how long did it take to learn it? Don't tell me less than 3 days, because
to learn what, you mean?
To learn the piece, man, that's hard.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was practicing a lot during this quarantine. It was not holidays at all. I was just like practicing all day, like on my computer for 10 hours a day for making the arrangements. which I needed like at least 3 days for a small overture like this, like 4 minutes overture, and then I had to practice every part. So yeah, of course, a solo part, but then everything when I have to record this crazy French concerto, like playing all the flute parts in the high register. But that was a terrific, good exercise. It's so difficult. It's just like so challenging. It's the only way I found to keep motivation, because of course, like everybody, when all your concerts, all your projects are canceled for months and months and months, I mean, it's like you need something to still be willing to practice every day. I mean, it's very hard. I don't know how you manage this, but it's very complicated. So doing this for myself, for my students, for everybody is the best motivation I got during that time.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's such a good example. I mean, it's really, you're putting us all to shame. So, I'm so glad you're doing. You set the bar and inspired certainly me. And I mean, not anything at your
That
level.
would be my best reward. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone's talking about, is life going to be different in a year, 2 years, whatever. And who knows? I mean, you're what's so great about you is you've done the traditional things, the competitions, the orchestras, the bands, the teaching, all the normal things. You've achieved all the heights, and now you're literally one of the leaders in this other direction. I mean, you're covering all the bases, and I think it's just keeping people excited about music and trying to make us come up with our own ideas. Maybe not as proficiently as you, but it's very inspiring. I'm really glad you're doing it. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask one thing?
Yeah, we have a techie question there.
Yes. So one question: what program are you using for editing? And if you editing, or you have a kind of a team of people editing? Because I know that it's extremely difficult to edit all this kind of part together.
I have to say, I'm absolutely alone for everything from the beginning to the end.
Is a Final Cut Pro or something like that?
I used to work on the Final Cut, and now I'm working on a new one, which I'm very happy about. Is DaVinci Resolve. It's a very, very powerful video editor, which is very nice. I recommend it to everyone.
Last question, then I will go back. Do you record everything live, or you record some parts on the side and then you mime?
No, it's everything live. Yeah, I mean, it's cheating if you are not playing live. So I try. So you can't imagine how many times I'm repeating every part to get it very clean and very nice in tune. And
Jean-François, how many days it took to make from the beginning to the end, like for the
2 weeks? 2 weeks. Yes, like 3 or 4 days for the arrangement, and then like I don't know, 8 days for recording everything, and then 2 days for video editing. It's honestly, it was like 50 hours of work. It was crazy. But amazing. I mean, it's worth the time. I think it's so much fun.
Well, can you take us? The beauty of this is there's not one single person watching that knows less than I do about techie. Okay. So he you've helped with him, but very primitively, how do you start? I mean, well, actually, before we go on, how many instruments do you play?
I started with a clarinet, of course, and then I wanted to learn the piano, so I started when I was, I don't know, like 13 or 14, something like that, just as a hobby. I mean, just like because I wanted to get a harmonic here. And to be able just to accompany my students, or I don't know, just like to have fun. I mean, not to be horror of it, so just to have fun. And when I was 20, I met him before, but I had very good friendship with David Guerrier. I don't know, trumpet player. Maybe he came in Hong Kong to be as a soloist. I don't remember, but he's a trumpet player, but also a French horn player, but like a world-class French horn player. And then as I was just thinking, you can play maybe really different instruments and at a very good level. And okay, let's not be shy and let's try it. And so when I was 20, I started to play French horn.
Yeah, but Nicola, there's a difference between going from trumpet to French horn and clarinet to French horn. I'm glad no one told you that. Okay, you might have been.
I guess so many people are just like building barriers all the time. Oh no, it's not possible for your embouchure to play brass and clarinet. It's too dangerous. You are going to break your lips or blah 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 blah. But that's bullshit. I mean, it's if you do it properly with a good technique, I mean, you can do everything. You can play the violin, you can sing, you can. It's just a question of having a good technique. So, and of course, to be smart and not play like 8 hours a day with a brass embouchure. But so, I mean, I don't want to be the new Dennis Brain, or I will never be, of course. But I'm able to play some chamber music, easy pieces. That I can play some things, and that's enough for me. I mean, I don't have enough time to practice more anyway. But I'm so happy, so I can make those multi instruments recordings. So of course it will never be very hard horn solos, but just for orchestra, some easy orchestra parts, that's fine. And of course percussion, that's very do that with a lot of humility, because it's very difficult, and I try to just do some accessories and some very simple things. But I'm still practicing with some friends in my orchestra. They are giving me some masterclass for tambourine, for triangle, for everything. It's so fun. It's so fun to learn
the drum set, right? I know you play the drum set, right?
Yeah. But not at a very good level, but just like enough to play my small arrangements. But
wow.
But it's nice to be 40 years old and to say, okay, I'm just learning a new instrument, and I will try to do something. Yeah, wow. I encourage everyone to do that. I mean, I don't try to be a professional on this. I mean, just like having fun and doing my small videos, it's enough.
Like, listen, watching your videos is already big deal for me. So I would say it's more than enough on your part. That's really amazing. Now, we're here celebrating all your versatile talents and stuff, but I really have to say, I need to take you down a notch. Okay, I'm gonna have to insult you a little bit. Okay. I was saying maybe I haven't seen enough of his videos, so I was looking and I saw your Pulp Fiction video, which is terrific. I mean, that's one of my favorite movies. So I said, I don't even remember, was that song actually in it? I hadn't seen it in a long time. So I went to YouTube and Googled it, and I've come to a conclusion. I looked 2 times. John Travolta is a much better dancer than you are.
Definitely, no doubt about that.
Okay, fine. I mean, I went back to double check. I mean, a lot more solid. I mean, you caught a little of it, but he is a much better dancer than you.
It's just like a tribute. It's not about imitating or anything. It's just like no way. It's just for having fun.
Okay, I hope you're not mad at me, but the truth hurts.
But I'm still more skinny than him.
That's true. Terrific. So how do you go about these? I mean, how do you start? I mean, how do you do all the parts and edit them and put them together? And for dumb people like me, how do you do this simply? I mean, you make an arrangement, right? You get out your 35 instruments, and you record one by one,
yes,
part, and then build up and I mean.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely.
And choreograph. I mean, you decide that you're going to come by with a beret and a loaf of bread just at the right time, and I can't even imagine the depth, because there's so much detail in all the choreography and everything involved. I mean, it's tremendous.
Yeah, but it's definitely a lot of work. But I start with a piece I want to arrange and I want to play. And then I'm thinking step by step what I could do. I mean, just to make it maybe not more interesting, but just to make people who doesn't like clarinet normally, don't listen to clarinet normally, just, okay, that's fun, that could be nice, that's nice music. I just try to make people come to classical music and say, oh, that's not so bad, and I can enjoy it and get fun. So I want to make it, to make people smile, and easy listening. I mean, of course, I want to get the highest quality as possible. I want to make something as perfect as I can, and respect the composer, the music, everything. And then I try to give another dimension just to make it a little bit more for larger public, let's say. But I was starting with very, very small videos. I mean, I started like last summer in like August or something like that. I just, at the beginning, I wanted to be able to record myself and not to depend on a label, on a CD or something. And I was fed up with normal recordings. And I was feeling that the CD market was completely changing anyway. And I was personally not buying CDs anymore. I was just like listening everything on Deezer, Spotify, or whatever you want. And of course, listening many things on YouTube. And I say, okay, maybe it's good time to think about another diffusion of my music. So I just starting with very basic microphone and say, okay, let's maybe I will record some studies. And I started with a lot of Bach pieces with I don't know, close studies, many things, adaptation for bass clarinets from many cello pieces, and just like to train and to be able to record myself in an acceptable way with a correct sound. And so of course at the beginning I was doing many mistakes, like too much reverb or many things like this, but I was trying to get better. And then I had the idea to make larger groups, and started to listen how to do that, and to make first Clarinet Quartet, and then larger and larger and larger. And that's really fun. I have to tell you that my first the first video I was really enjoying a lot was to record was this Mendelssohn Scherzo from Midsummer Night Dream.
I remember.
So that's, I mean, we are all practicing this excerpt for years and years, for auditions, for playing in real in the orchestra, of course, but never played in a smaller ensemble. And Clarinet Quartet is perfect for that. I mean, just like to get absolutely the same music, the same tonality, and to get the global meaning of the piece. So, and it was of course a very challenging piece for myself, just to work on staccato, for everything, stability, endurance, and so I try to combine everything. I mean, like personal pleasure, trying to work on many techniques, extended techniques, record it, make it together. It's really motivating, I guess.
Wow. Yeah, and it's particularly impressive because now, well, it's very funny. I don't know if anyone has had the same experience. Some people are thinking, wow, I can get so much done and I can do all the things I wanted to. And a lot of people are not doing that in this period. But you, I mean, it isn't just that you were motivated during this period. You were actually doing this when you were juggling a principal clarinet job, a full studio, and your own arrangements and your own practice and all this, and you're like, well, okay, let's also make videos and learn more. I mean, it's really it's so admirable to do you ever get tired?
I do, and I don't sleep enough for sure, but. And I still have to take care of my family and my boy, who is actually playing PlayStation right now. So I'm very, very happy about this interview. So he's having peace for 2 hours. So
incredible. We have a young kid and everything. And by the way, Olivier Auclair, the person who organized our dinner and our recital 15 years ago, just got on and says hello to everybody. And I specifically remember sending him a photo of the two of us at Roland Garros, and he said, "Well, some of us have to work, guys." He was very jealous. I mean that's just tremendous, Nicolas. And well, actually, why don't you just name let's start with the boring stuff, like CDs, solo CDs. How many do you have, or what did you record? If we just wanted to go,
honestly, I don't know how many, but my first CD was in 2000, I guess. I was just like collaborating with a very good clarinet player from Czech Republic, Ludmila Petakova, and she was recording for Supraphon and Mendelssohn Concertstück.
And you're playing the basset horn, right?
Absolutely. I was just playing the basset horn on this CD, and I was just thinking, oh my God, it's nice to make CDs, because at that time you got paid for that. I mean, you got a contract, you got money, and I was like 20 and that's fantastic. I want to do that. But I guess the CD market changed drastically because then you didn't get anything, but you didn't pay anything, and now you have to pay to make a CD. So that's getting absolutely.
And say thank you afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you don't get anything of that. So I was just thinking, okay, CDs over. I still do. I mean, but not like it's just for visibility for or recording pieces. I really want to, and which are not so easy to do in different situations. But so I don't know, I did like 15 or 20 CDs, and I still got three this year. I mean, one Schubert octet, one Brahms CD with a trio, and one is coming in November with solo pieces with around Boulez, with Domaine and Dialogue, and also a piece by Michael Jarrell, Assonance, and another piece from Bruno Mantovani, which is called Bug. So it's not for very large public, I guess, but but it's really nice pieces. These Boulez pieces are just amazing for clarinet and electronic, and the other one is for clarinet and a very small ensemble. So it's pieces I really play for a long time, and which I love. So I was really happy to do this, and it should come in November or something like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, other than Carmen, have you done? Other than Carmen and the videos that we've seen you do, have you made arrangements that we can get a hold of if we wanted to play in a recital or something? Have you made other arrangements that I don't know about?
I didn't make so many arrangements for clarinet and piano, but I did many for Clarinet Quartet, and most of them are published and absolutely official. And some of them which I did recently will be published maybe if people are asking for it. But I was just giving.
For what, a Clarinet Quartet or some other thing?
No, for like the Candid overture for clarinet ensemble. I sent it already to many people asking me, can you send me the music? Okay, have fun. And maybe this last Ruslan and Ludmila from Glinka. Why not? I mean, it's really fun to play in a clarinet ensemble, and you don't need to play with the percussion and French horn. It's just like additional stuff for fun. But you can play just at 10 clarinets. It's working perfectly, I guess. So I guess maybe it will be published also. But if you have any idea for future projects, please give me.
Yes, he's looking for ideas. So
people are asking Nicolas, when they can find your music?
There's two sites. One is called Clarinet edition.fr, clarinetedition.fr, where the Carmen is published, for example. And another one is Clarté, KLARTHE.com, where you can find all my quartets, Mendelssohn arrangements, and everything. Maybe we can write it in the description somewhere after, because my English is so bad. But
no, we will. I'm actually seeing. It's so great to see some of my classmates. It goes back even further than you, that all have terrific university jobs. Dan Gilbert from University of Michigan and D. Ray McClellan, and they're all asking about your arrangements. So who knows? They might have all big clarinet classes and have a good opportunity to present some of your stuff. Terrific. And so now let's get to the videos. So how many videos have you made?
I didn't count, but
not many.
I mean, I did many different.
We're good at counting, I guess. Or and dancing.
Go to the YouTube channel to check it. But I was doing like one video every 2 weeks for 9 months, so you can count. I mean, I don't know, it's something like that.
Wow. Close to 20 videos. And that's incredible.
Yeah, but at the beginning it was much faster because it was only solo pieces, so that was quite fast to do. And then it's getting more and more complicated. So during this quarantine is fine because I can work all day. But when normal life will, I hope, come again, it will be more complicated, I guess, to keep this rhythm. If I want to stick with the orchestra works or this kind of music. But that's a lot. But I mean, I still enjoy, so I still do it. When I will be fed up about that, I will maybe think about something else. But that's still very fun. I was very happy to do it with my class because, of course, we all had motivation problems. But with my students, it was the same. I mean, like teaching online on Zoom, on Skype, or FaceTime it's fine. I mean, we have to do that, but it's not the same, of course, as a normal lesson. So we had to find ideas to keep fresh and motivated. So I guess these 2 projects were the best we could do for staying fit and with a project ahead. I mean, so and still challenging pieces. So you had to work, and they had to work a lot to make it as clean as possible and to record with a phone on the stand. I mean, with very basic stuff, and so that was funny. That was nice.
Do you? I mean, you know, you're I mean, you're doing all these. You're getting into uncharted territory. Certainly for you. I mean, compared to where you were 10, 15, 20 years ago, you're learning all these skills. You have to play principal clarinet in a demanding job. You have quite a few students. Do you just practice basics? Do you ever just say, wait, okay, I mean, I'm not just staying afloat. I need to go back, make sure that I have, my technique, my sound, everything's there. And what do you do? And how regularly do you do that kind of thing?
I mean, I had to do it even more often now. I mean, because I'm just like practicing a lot, recording, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm almost stopping for 3 days because I have to do this on a new arrangement. And then I have to practice again and blah, blah, blah. So it's more complicated than normal because normally I'm always playing all the time. I mean, like you in the orchestra, when teaching, even if you don't practice for yourself, you just play all the time and you just stay fit. But now, I mean, you're just alone at home. So sometimes you practice, sometimes you don't. So I just come back to the same basics. I do the same basics for 30 years now. I come back to my Jean-Jean Vademecum, which is for me the best exercise book ever. It just lasts 30 minutes. It's so difficult, so efficient, and you can do it 30 minutes through every day. So I start my day with that.
Jean-Jean, which one? Which book?
It's Vademecum. I don't know if you. I will send you. It's very, very, very good exercise book. So working mostly on left hand on many tricky things, often synchronization of the 2 hands. It's extremely difficult, but when you do that for 3 days, it's guaranteed you're getting in much better shape anyway. So that's my basic for starting a day in that time now. That's very, very efficient, much more than scales, of course, are efficient, but I'm getting a little bit fed up by scales, so I try to do some other stuff and to change a little bit. So I start with that, and then I try to practice my new arrangements all the time. So trying to play the flute passage en français is it's a very good exercise too. But
Great. And well, I mean, not only do you have a regular studio, but I personally see. In fact, Lorenzo and you, I remember, did a seminar not long ago in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
I've also participated in that, and I've seen you. Well, personally, see you give master classes, worldwide, certainly over the last 15 years. So, are there any? Kind of a 2-part question. Are there general problems that you see worldwide? It's sort of a universal thing in clarinet playing that you're seeing that you usually tend to have to address. And is there something? I mean, I'm sure that you custom make your teaching to the individual's strengths and weaknesses. But is there something that you come back to? You find yourself coming back to time and time again?
Yeah, there's a few things. Globally, I would say that a lot of students are lacking of harmonic ear. I mean, they just like think about the clarinet line. They just think horizontally, but they don't think about what's going on around and about the directions in the phrase, in the phrases, and in the tensions and resolutions of the music. When you speak about, of course, about tonal music, and this, I think I can feel everywhere. I mean, like if people can play the piano, for example, and just know what is a fifth degree, a first degree, a dominant, a tonic, like this kind of things. And it's very often one of the first things I work on with my students is just like, okay, how do you want to build your phrase? Okay, till this point, but why? Tell me why. Not because just you feel it like this. Tell me a good reason for that. And very often it's about harmony and about tension and release. And that's something I can see everywhere. I mean, but it's normal. I mean, when you practice clarinet, you don't practice the piano all the time. I mean, in Asia, it's more common to play the piano together, and you have to do it. But in France, not at all. I mean, if you don't do it by yourself, nobody asks you to practice piano and just like to analyze the scores and everything. So I would say this very, very important thing I can feel everywhere in the world, for sure. But that's a very hard question. I mean, just like to try thinking global and about
Well, if someone comes to study with you at the conservatory, do you have some kind of basic method that you almost everyone will start on certain studies or certain pieces, or is it very customized, or do you mix and match a little bit?
No, it's very customized because I'm very, very lucky to be in this conservatoire, which has very, very high level, and the level of the audition is so high that most of my students don't have real problems. I mean, it's just like it's for me it's a very interesting job, but an easy job sometimes because you don't have to work on really basic problems. So no, it's very customized. I try to adapt to everyone, and some people need to get a wider repertoire and to develop this aspect of music or some other this aspect of technique. But there's absolutely no rule and no studies. They have to do anyway. And anyway, I'm also sharing the work with my assistant. And we decided to share, like he's doing a lot of the technical work, scales, studies, and exercise. I'm more on the repertoire, and of course we do everything together, but we try to separate a little bit so it's more convenient for us and easier to organize.
And how is that? Is it very regiment? I mean, is there an amount of lessons that they have with your assistant versus you? 1 a month with him and 3 with you, or
no, it's every week 1 hour with me, 1 hour with the assistant. Yes, that's they have a lot of lessons. So that's very, very interesting and very good for them. But sometimes I guess it's too much because very often they are waiting for solutions, and they just like play. Okay, how should I resolve this? Please give me the solution, and they are not always thinking by themselves and trying to solve everything. They don't get so much autonomy with this. So I guess sometimes it's a little bit too much, but this quarantine is a very good exercise for them because of course they get less lessons, and so it's also a good time for thinking and to be more demanding with themselves, I guess. But yes, it's 2 hours a week, which is a lot, I guess. Plenty enough when you have 2 programs at the same time to practice, one for each teacher. It's is it not like that for you in Hong Kong?
I don't have an assistant. No, I don't.
So you do everything.
Yeah, but I don't. In my younger days, I taught as much as you, but a little bit less. Like, yeah, I'll leave it to you guys. But I'm actually interested in your orchestra job. Do you have a co-principal, or you the basic principal, and you play most of the stuff?
Yeah, my orchestra is quite special because we are two principals and one co-principal. But there's a very good reason for that, is that we are very often split in two orchestras. So we are doing like two programs at the same time in the same week, and making two concerts at the same time. So it's a really big orchestra, like 132 people. And
Wow.
yeah, and very often we have a big normal orchestra program and one chamber orchestra program. So it's not like a 50% job. It's like, I would say, 65% principal job. And then, of course, we have a co-principal also for additional projects, or when we need to be replaced, or like this. But it's quite a lot of work. I mean, it's a very busy orchestra. It's very interesting because we do everything. We do opera, we do symphonic, we do a lot of contemporary music, we do a lot of crossover things with the radios, and so it's really, really interesting, but still very busy. Don't get enough time for my videos, for sure. So.
Well, so you did have the orchestra job before. Did you say it was a national orchestra, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And then you took 3 or 4 years off.
Yes.
So what made you leave orchestra life, and then what made you return to orchestra life?
I mean, when I got this position in Lyon, I was definitely not. I didn't know how much work it was going to represent, and I really wanted to be 100% available and ready for this, and have a lot of time for this. I mean, I was already doing orchestra for 10 years, and I said, okay, maybe it's time for trying something else. And I was really happy to do that, because it's I took a lot of time to build my class and to take care of students, everything. And but honestly, I was missing orchestra quite fast. So I was doing as a guest many projects everywhere, but I was missing having my position in Paris and playing the big symphonic orchestras, not only chamber orchestras. So when they released this position in the Radio Philharmonic, I mean, it was the last open position for the next 10 years in Paris. So again, okay, it's my only opportunity to get very good position again. If I don't get it, I stay like this as a teacher and as a guest everywhere, and playing concerts. But so I was very lucky to get it, and I was very, very happy, because honestly, it's an orchestra I feel the best since I'm doing this career. And I'm really happy about this very versatile aspect of the orchestra, playing every type of music, every kind, and it's really nice. I wouldn't stick to symphonic or opera all the time. I would get bored, I guess. I get very easily bored and very fast bored, so it's nice. Yeah.
I can tell. You were already talking earlier. You were talking about getting fed up with doing videos. Like, you know, I mean, it's just not challenging anymore. But you know,
you always get challenged, of course. But I mean, the repertoire is wide, but sometimes not so wide. And when you are playing Beethoven 6 for 10 times since 3 years, sometimes it's you want to try something else. I mean, you know the problem.
Yeah. So. I know the problem, but I still haven't. I still don't feel comfortable doing it. And I'd like to ask you. I mean, the first time we played together, especially you were a young man. I was really taken by your well, you're very controlled. You know, you don't seem to get very nervous. Your concentration skills are very focused. Is this? It just comes natural to you, or are you aware of this? Is there something that you do? I was very impressed the first time we played that way.
Thank you, but no, it's not natural at all. I mean, it's just a question of practice and the way you want to orientate your practice. I get very nervous when I'm not ready, when I'm not in control, when I'm discovering, when I'm not sure at what I should do and what is going to happen. For sure, I get very nervous. But when everything was practiced in advance, when I know exactly what to do, which fingering I'm going to use, what direction I'm going to play, what is happening around me, then I get more confidence, because I mean, I think I did a good work to manage everything. But sometimes when you are just like sightseeing in the orchestra because you had a new piece just like before, just like discovering a new encore for the concert tonight, I get very nervous sometimes. But no, it's, for me, it's just about preparation and the way you practice everything before, mostly. And I don't like to play new pieces in recitals. I mean, I just like to introduce a few of them sometimes and then play it a lot to get used and to get very inside. But I take time for that. I mean, I don't like to change a big program like this and discover new pieces. It's dangerous things I'm not very comfortable with. Some people are doing this without problem, not me. But
you know what? I so many people have been writing in little questions. I just lost you. Just give me a second. My tech. Yeah, there we got it. So let's see. Claire Baldeyrou. She wants to know about Woody Allen. Is this something you know about? Is she your sister by any chance?
that's my sister.
Okay. She wants to know about Woody Allen. So what are we supposed to know about that?
Oh my God! When I was doing my school diploma at 18 years old, I had the music option, like a normal student in normal school, and no, it was not. Sorry, it was not a music option. It was the English option. And you were supposed to discover a picture or anything and just speak about it. And it was how do you say, a poster of the new Woody Allen film of that time. And of course, I didn't see any movie of Woody Allen at the time. Not one. I didn't know the guy. I just knew that he was playing clarinet. So I was just with this picture and say, "Oh my God, what can I say about that?" And I was just like beginning to bullshit the inspector, just like, well, you know what? I'm playing clarinet, and I personally know Woody Allen. I said, what? Really? And she was a huge fan of Woody Allen, just like she was just like, Woody Allen was a god. And I said, yeah, I met him and I played clarinet with him in a jazz club a few years ago, yeah. And I went to his house also, I know his wife. And I said, no way. He said, yeah, really? And I got a wonderful mark, like 19 on 20, like this, just bullshitting all the time. And I'm not very proud of this, but thank you, Claire, for this. So I never met Woody Allen, unfortunately, but he was a really big help in that situation. Thank you, Woody.
You know, one of my teachers, Leon Rushinoff, way back in the day, I came into a lesson once, and a parent, he was very disturbed. I said, "What happened?" He goes, "You'll never believe who just called me. Someone said I'm Woody Allen's secretary, and he would like to know if you can help him find an old school, New Orleans metal clarinet. He left this on his answering machine." This is, most of you probably don't know what an answering machine was, but that was the old technology. And so he listened and he called back and he left a message. He says, "Tell Mr. Allen this is Mr. Rushinoff's secretary. Tell Mr. Allen if he wants something directly from Mr. Rushinoff, call him directly." And that was the Woody Allen story way back in the day. Terrific.
But I remember that we did a clarinet for Woody Allen in Buffet Crampon a few years ago. He was just ordering Buffet to make a 13 keys clarinet. I mean, he had a very old one, but it was about to break. I don't know, that was a problem. And he just asked, "Okay, can you do it? Can you do a new one for me?" So I was not participating in this, but I know that Buffet did the 13 keys clarinet just by hand, every key by hand, everything for him. And I was quite happy, I guess, like 10 years ago or something like that.
Oh, I did see a documentary about a jazz tour through Europe, and he does visit the Buffet Crampon factory in it, and having visited it, they have some picture with him or something.
Absolutely. Yes.
Fantastic. So, Nicola, do you have any? I mean, as a teacher, and actually, someone who's had a really I can't think of a better word than thorough career at a reasonably young age, and especially in this really difficult climate for even established musicians, and someone who meets students worldwide and has so many of his own. What sort of advice and would you pass on to young aspiring clarinetists who want to be the next Nicolas Baldeyrou or whoever?
Wow, it's a big question, but I think these last weeks, I mean, we all realize that culture is something we need. I mean, very often when there's many problems, governments are just like cutting in the budgets of culture all the time is the first thing which is cut. And I would think absolutely the opposite. What do we need during this time? We need hope, we need beauty, we need art all the time. We need culture. And my only message would just to I would like every musician, every artist to be positive in this climate and just like bring hope and faith in the future. Of course, we are all very anxious and we fear many things. We are all very afraid of what's going on. But I guess anyway, art, music will be a very important key for everybody. So will still be very useful in the society and in the world. So, voilà, I want to say very humble because I'm just making small videos as a clarinet player. But if we can just give joy and faith and a smile and happiness in this climate, I guess that's the best we can do. And that's what I try to do with a lot of humility and try to every 2 weeks. But I think for my students, I say don't give up. Many of them were thinking about, okay, music is over. I should think about another job. And I think, no, definitely not. Maybe it will be more complicated. Maybe there will be more, I don't know, more problems, competition or anything, but will still be very important part of everybody's life in the future. So don't give up. I mean, we have still a very useful things to do. Definitely.
Great. Well,
I
that's
hope it's clear enough with my poor English.
Nicola, as I said earlier on, very nervous. He hasn't spoken English in a while. You said, right? You haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, you've almost out-talked me, which is quite something. You're doing great. And just I wanted to ask you a little bit between the two orchestra jobs. I know they haven't been that long, but you mentioned one musical director. Who were all the musical directors you've worked with in the last job, and have you had any other one in this present job?
My first musical director was in the minor chamber. It was Daniel Harding.
Right.
And then when I came in the national orchestra, it was Kurt Mazo, German. Yeah. And then when I came in the radio, it was New Won Chung, Korean. I'm sure my pronunciation is a disaster, but I hope you understand.
Yeah.
And then I got.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sister's violinist.
Yeah, he's a brother of the violinist. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Kunwa Chung. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And then I got this Finnish director, Mikko Frank. So they were all very, very different. I mean, and very different generations and very different approach to music. But that was very interesting and in different ways. I mean, It was quite difficult with Kurt Masur when I came. He was very old, very deaf, and very difficult guy. So, okay, it was not my best memory in my career, but I'm very happy with my two paths. Did you feel the same?
No. We had a colleague who joined the London Philharmonic, where he was also a music director.
Yes.
But this was when mobile phones were getting in vogue, and they had a tradition of I don't know what it was. If your mobile phone went off in a rehearsal, you were fined £25 or something like that. And there was this story that in the middle of rehearsal, Kurt Masur's phone went off, and he didn't know who it was. But of course, we don't want to ruin a perfectly good story with the facts. But some people said perhaps it was the Chancellor of Germany or whatever, and he picked up the phone. He reached and he says, "You just cost me $25," and hung up. And the orchestra manager ran up and put out his hand. He had to pay £25. So but
that's a good story.
A lot of characters over there in Britain. So that's great, Nicola. I mean, it's been so wonderful. I just have to talk about our other passion very quickly, and then you can start your day, and we'll wind ours down. So you've had so many top 100 tennis players in France, and none of them ever hit the gold, right? I mean, since
Absolutely.
Is that good? Why is that? And is that going to change?
I would love to. I mean, we don't know. I mean, is it a question of mentality? Is it a question of practicing? Is it a question of talent? We're so sad about that. I mean, our last we didn't have so much Grand Slam winners this last decades, not at all, and but so many people very talented and always not getting the last step to the top. So if you have a solution, I would be very happy to give them, but I don't know.
If I solve that problem, I wouldn't be talking to people like you, man.
No, very often it's a question of fighting spirit. I would say. I mean, of hard working when training, and just like being more focused and to be more fighting on the court. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we just pray every year for a new title for something, and we are really talented people for sure. But I mean, like people who can beat anyone on one match, but on the Grand Slam championship they never do. So except in double. In double, we are very, very good pairs and very good teams. So I don't know. We just cross fingers and pray for next seasons. Maybe the quarantine was very efficient on their minds, and I don't know. Well, so the last question with Federer: is he going to win the next Wimbledon or not? What do you think about Roger Federer?
He'll be a little. He'll be what, 40 or almost 40 by the next one. So it might be tough. So, well, I'll tell you what, we hope that tennis resumes. We hope the normal life resumes, and we certainly hope your yours and all of music situation worldwide resumes. But I think I speak for many people when I thank you very much for inspiring us through this quarantine and not. Even not in the quarantine, and really setting an example for what I was saying about being proactive and really keeping everything alive. And what a great example. I mean, all these projects you have going. I mean, I'm so embarrassed, to think, I go days without, I don't really feel like picking up the instrument. There you are, the computer and this and doing all kinds of amazing things. So, thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you very much.
If the tennis players don't have it, you certainly have the fighting spirit. So we appreciate that very much. So thank you so much for joining. And it's so great to catch up.
Definitely my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Fantastic. Have a great day, and thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been another great interview. Thank you so much, Nicolas.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon.
Likewise.
Bye bye.